deep dive into a passage that might change how you view the choices you make every day.
Love it.
You shared this awesome devotional on John 10:7 to 10. It's all about Jesus calling himself, wait for it, the gate.
Okay, the gate. I'm intrigued.
Exactly. We're going to unpack what that means. Not just back in ancient times, with the whole shepherd thing, but what does it mean for us today?
Right, because we don't exactly have sheepfolds in our backyards.
Well, maybe some people do, but you get the idea.
I do.
This passage, it's got so much depth, but it really comes alive when you know a little bit about shepherding back in Jesus' time.
The cultural context. Love it. I'm ready.
Okay, so picture this. You've got this sheepfold, right? Basically like a stone enclosure, keeping the sheep safe at night.
Okay, I'm with you.
And the shepherd, well, they didn't just stand by a wooden gate. They literally became the gate.
Wait, what? Tell me more.
At night, the shepherd would actually lay down right across the opening. So the only way in or out of that sheepfold was through the shepherd.
Wow. So the shepherd really was the only way to safety, the only way to get to the good stuff.
Exactly. But that makes me wonder, what does it mean for Jesus to be our gate? What's the deeper meaning here?
It's all about trust, right? Think about it. Those sheep totally trusted the shepherd to keep them safe, lead them to good pasture.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Jesus is saying here, too. He's like, hey, I am the way to real life, to really knowing God. Trust me.
I'm the way, the truth, and the life.
Yeah, there you go. John 14:6. But you know what's interesting?
What?
This idea of trust, it makes me think about how the Pharisees are portrayed in this passage.
Oh, yeah. The devotional kind of contrasts them with Jesus.
Exactly. You see, the Pharisees were like these religious leaders.
Right.
But they were adding all these extra rules and burdens, making it harder for people to connect with God.
Yeah. And the devotional actually calls them thieves.
Right. It's almost like they were building fences around the sheepfold, confusing the sheep about how to get in.
So that brings up a question for me.
Shoot.
What are the gates in our own lives that might be steering us away from God? Obviously not actual gates.
Right.
But, maybe ways of thinking, beliefs that we've picked up, even people.
Definitely.
Stuff that makes us question our faith or makes us feel like we're not good enough.
Oh, 100%.
So maybe it's a good time to ask ourselves, what are we letting influence us, our hearts, our minds?
Yeah. Are we going through the right gates? Because, the passage also says, and I love this part, whoever enters through me will be saved.
Saved. Okay, that can sound kind of abstract. What does that actually mean?
Well, think about it. Salvation. It's like being rescued. And not just in some far-off future.
Right.
It's being rescued now. From fear, from feeling empty, from anything that's stopping you from really living.
That resonates. I get that. It's like those, finding that sense of safety, that complete security, being with the shepherd.
Totally.
Okay, I'm taken care of. I'm protected. I can relax.
I love that. But it's also about so much more than just being safe.
Okay.
I mean, the devotional talks about how Jesus doesn't just offer safety, he offers abundance.
Right. Coming in and going out and finding pasture. What does that mean?
Okay, so here's how I see it. It's not about being stuck, trapped in some spiritual bubble.
Yeah.
It's not about being afraid to go out and actually live in the world.
No way.
It's about this beautiful rhythm, this balance. So coming in, that's about finding that deep peace in your relationship with Jesus.
I like that. Coming in.
And then going out. That's where you're living out your purpose, engaging with the world, using your gifts, but knowing, and this is key, knowing that you're not alone.
Okay. And what about the finding pasture bit?
Well, think of it this way. It's all the good stuff.
Yeah.
What brings you joy? Where do you feel that sense of, man, I am alive?
Oh, I love that. So for me, it's often the simple things.
Yeah.
Like a deep conversation or when I'm being creative.
Yeah.
Even just feeling the sunshine. Those little moments where you're like, okay, God is here with me.
Absolutely. I love that you find it in the everyday stuff. I feel like that's where it's at. But it makes me think about how stark the contrast is in this passage. Jesus says, the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full.
Whoa. Yeah. That's intense. It really lays it out there, doesn't it?
Right.
And this thief that he's talking about, it's got to be more than just someone stealing your wallet, right?
For sure. I think it's about anything that robs us. Our joy, our peace, things that make us feel lost, like we don't have a purpose.
So what kind of things are we talking about here?
I think it can be different for everyone. Could be negative thoughts, constantly putting yourself down.
Yeah, I get that.
Or relationships that are toxic.
Yeah.
Habits that are addictive.
things that seem good on the surface but end up sucking the life out of you.
Yeah, things that promise you happiness but leave you feeling empty.
It's interesting, though, because when I think back to the Pharisees, they weren't like bad people, right?
Yeah, not necessarily.
But they were so focused on these strict rules.
Oh, and the outward appearance of being good.
Exactly. And it ended up blocking people from experiencing that genuine connection with God.
Yeah, sometimes we can get so caught up in the doing that we miss the heart of it all.
So maybe it's a good reminder for us to check ourselves. Like,
Yeah.
Are we building those extra fences, Are we adding to the confusion instead of pointing people towards the gate?
Love that. Yeah, it's about keeping it simple, keeping it real.
So, to sum it all up, it seems like Jesus, as the gate, is showing us the way to salvation, to a place of safety, to a life where we can really experience all the good stuff.
Abundant life. And I think it leaves us with a pretty important question, don't you?
What's that?
What gates are we choosing to walk through? The ones that lead to life, the kind of life Jesus is offering? Or are we accidentally taking a detour, going through gates that lead us away from everything we're searching for?
Yeah, that's worth thinking about. And maybe it's time to revisit John 10.710.
Yeah, definitely.
See what stands out to you now. See if any of those gates need adjusting. And, maybe take some time to reflect on where you find that abundant pasture that really feeds your soul. Thanks for being part of this deep dive today.
Absolutely. This was a good one.
See you next time.
Yeah, see you next time.